So the question might have crossed your mind, now that I am awakened, aware, now that I'm conscious, how do I go about creating my life? Do I just surrender to the power of the universe? Do I take active part in it? What is my role? How do I do it? There are two ways that you create after you have awakened. It happens naturally, and I'm going to explain this to you. When we awaken to the fact that we are source energy, that everything is vibration, and that we are a perspective of source, connected to each and everything in the universe, does that affect the way that we now create and live our lives? We're going to look at two ways that you can create after awakening. And I'm also going to talk about what you should look out for, what you should be careful for not to happen. After awakening, there are two ways in which you will create. The one way is just organic. That means, say for instance, you have a beautiful voice, and one night you sing in a club, and somebody in the audience hears you and asks you to afterwards meet you and ask you, why don't you come to the studio to see if we can record your song? And that's the way you then create and go forward. You haven't planned it, you didn't set that as a goal, it just happened organically. The second way is when you have an idea that you want to create something, but this idea is not something that you thought about. This is something that is inspired. So it is creation itself which through you wants to bring into existence something. Because if you look around you, the universe loves to bring things into form. So we are like channels through which this happens. This is what is called inspired action. The inspiration is not from yourself. It might flow naturally to you, and you might not even sometimes realize that this was not your idea. But if you look back to it, you might remember you saying, I don't know why I got this idea, or one day this just came into my head. This is an idea that was inspired through the universe. So we are like conduits. We are the channels through which the creation flows. Now, as with any channel, there can be blockages. So this is what happens when we are not aligned. Then we might find that even though we are inspired, we don't put into action the inspiration that we got, and the thing that we might have created never comes to fruition. Now, even if we start creating something because we are inspired by Source, the thing you have to be careful of is that the ego don't creep in. Because this is the difference between taking action after an awakening, after becoming conscious. Before we become aware, the actions we take are often inspired by the ego. The ego wants some attention. It wants a pat on the shoulder. You are so good. Look what you did. It wants elevation for itself, where if you don't create from ego, but from the higher inspiration, you create for the sake of creating. All the other things will flow to you anyway, but that is not the place from where you create. So even if you are awakened and you are busy creating, the ego can still creep in. But how do we then know that we didn't let the ego become part of our creation process? The way we can identify it is if you create from ego, when there are obstacles, as there always is, when you do it because of ego, you will be frustrated. There could be anger, there could be aggression even to other people if they are the obstacle in your mind, or to the things that are hindrances in your creation process. So just be aware of that. If we are living our truth, if we are authentic, we are aligned with our higher self. It is as if our higher self is standing on the mountaintop and it can see everything while we are down in the valley. So we should be aware of this connection with our higher mind always, to guide us in the process while we are creating, to listen so that we can flow in the way that we create, so that we can go with the flow of the river. When there are things that you might see as challenges, don't resist, but see it as the river would going around it in a new direction, or changing it like an alchemist would, because that is part of the process of creating. You are not in the driver's seat. You should not get in the way of how Source brings about what you create through you. That is what it means by being a channel. It is not your own will or your own intellect, although it can give structure to what is given to you. But it is not you. That is why it is then easy not to be egoic, because you know what was brought into existence through you, no matter what it is, was created through Source. I trust you found value in this. Please subscribe if you have not yet, and share if you found value in this and you have a friend that you think would also love the channel. Also see in the description the links to my Facebook page and my webpage, where you can check out my art and all the services I offer, and also the group that I'm starting where you can ask questions that I will answer in the upcoming lives that I'm planning. I'm sending you my infinite love as always, and may you have a beautiful time manifesting everything you desire.